Hi,
Hello,
I'm Chi-Chi,
I'm Chantal.
and you're listening to the Reality She Prefers podcast.
Yes, you are. Sorry, I was
Okay,
taking a
good,
sip of wine.
Good. Oh, what are we drinking?
I saw one lonely bottle of wine as I was perusing, and it was the same bottle of wine from our first episode, the Tete de Leon from South Africa.
Was that out first?
Yes, we drank that during our very first episode.
Oh, look at that.
I know, full circle.
Full circle.
But today we are reviewing The Nesting
By C.J.
by
Cooke.
C.J. Cooke.
That's right.
We have plowed through a lot of her books,
That's right.
for better or for worse.
How many? I know we just talked about this, but it's worth,
So
going over
for
it
this
again.
podcast, thus far we've done 3. This will be 3. I personally,
Why does it feel like it's more?
because I keep talking about her like incessantly,
Okay.
I've read 4 of her books and I'm working on a 5th one.
And I will be working on another one after the book I read right now.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Summary.
oh gosh. So this is about a girl who has some mental health issues and takes an identity of another girl
Yeah.
in order to secure a position as a nanny, because she doesn't have any other choice. She's that or be homeless and on the streets. So she chooses to take someone's identity and become a nanny. And in that, she develops bonds with the kids and the family, but discovers the dark secrets that loom in this house and within this family. And really, at the end of the day, she almost sacrifices her life for this family and this dark past.
Yeah.
That's it.
Really
right?
good. Yeah. The ratings.
You're gonna go first.
Oh. Oh. Wow. Okay. I am going to give this rating knowing that I may change it later on after this conversation. Knowing that I may change it later on after this conversation, depending on where we go with this. So, I think, like, in the moment, I really enjoyed this book. I remember saying that it's good. It's good. It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. That's the word. I feel like because it was enjoyable, but there were elements that I didn't think were as strong aspects of the book. I'm gonna give it just a generous 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 4. So I'm gonna keep it that right now.
Good. I think it's worth a 4. Can I say something?
Yes.
I feel like it's hard to give Cooke less than a 4.
Yeah.
Just because no matter what, I know the book is going to be enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, even if there are missing pieces, even if you're left wondering what, like, this didn't add up, or I think that this could have been handled a little bit better or written better.
Yeah.
I just think she is really good at writing gripping and compelling narratives that keep you wanting more.
I agree. So as you know, like, I used to read a lot of fiction. I stopped, read a lot of nonfiction, like flooded my life with nonfiction. And it wasn't really until recently I got back into fiction and, talking to you, reading more of it. Because while Cooke has been around for a while, she's relatively new,
Yeah.
quote unquote,
Yeah.
to like novel writing. So what made you choose The Lighthouse Witches, which really was the first introduction for me, which spiraled into this obsession over her writing and the quality and the artistic ability that she has.
Yeah.
I really do like her stuff. So when I am more critical of that book, it's because I'm evaluating it against something that is so good.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, how did you discover her? What made you choose her? Because you're talking as if you've known like, oh yeah, she's been around for ages, you know, like, but that's not the case.
No.
Right? So I'm just curious as to what made you suggest her in the first place.
Funnily enough, I was on Facebook Marketplace and somebody was selling the Ghostwoods. And I thought, this is a really pretty cover and it looks like something I might want to read. So I went onto Amazon and started looking through her archives.
Okay.
And once I figured that she's a scholar, and being in the field, you know what I mean? Oh, it's so embarrassing to say, but
It's not embarrassing. You should be proud.
Okay.
Say it loud, be proud.
God, okay.
Be proud, say it loud.
So I thought, I like the fact that she is a scholar and a writer. So then I started reading the synopsis of her books and I thought, that sounds really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's what led me down.
Okay.
I want to give it a try.
Okay, cool. Well,
It's not that deep.
I mean, I think kind of. It's insightful
Okay.
into your thought space. You weren't just like, yeah.
And that brought us here.
And it brought us here. And I do think that scholarly piece is very important because it shows in the way that she writes and the way she puts things together. And
research. Because
it's very deep in research.
Writing about contexts and stories that you feel have folktale origins, and they're not common, but you get the sense that they're rooted in something. I think when we were talking about the witches, you said these seem like they have folktale origins, and I totally agree. So she must know the field and the industry and the very, very well.
This one too.
Yeah.
What I liked, and speaking of the folklore part of the nesting, and she made it into this novel, but then also injected this folklore back into the story of the folklore, if that makes sense. But I really thought that this was an entertaining yet page turning piece. We talked about this previously in the Haunting of the Arctic when we discussed like she's very plot driven. This really did focus more on the main character. You really got to know the characters in this story more before she even added the like creepy aspect of the story. It was all about building the characters, the family.
I mean, like, I don't want to be too honest at the same time. What a weird thing to say, but it just almost felt like it didn't fit. Like the plot didn't align, because there's such a heavy emphasis on the characters. That right at the end, everything feels rushed and incomplete, and
it's like she was finding herself.
Finding herself. What do you mean?
Like she didn't know if she wanted to write a thriller or if she wanted to write a gothic piece. And then I know we're laughing, but we're not laughing at her.
No, obviously
like
not.
In the best way possible. It's like she was kind of conflicted. Like she kind of like it was almost like this was her breakaway. Like,
isn't it? Like it's a third, right? That's what you told me last.
I think so.
So there was.
I'm gonna fact check that before I publish this. But yeah,
I'm really, even if
pretty sure.
I think you can still publish. It's fine that we don't have this, the facts. But I think it would be really interesting if this is a third, where she's going from a character focus to a plot driven focus, and you really get that disjointedness. In this book.
It is very disjointed. I mean, I like it. I did enjoy this book very much, and I read it very quickly because I was really invested. Because even though it was character focused, the character was still very focused on the plot and what was going on. Like she was still very focused on the house, the woods, what was going on with the house, all of the spiritual elements, all the folklore pieces, the creepiness, I think maybe what was different is that she really developed this character the first little bit of the book. She spent time in like letting us know what she looked like, how she thought, how she, like her mannerisms, it felt more intrusive almost into the character's persona versus like her other books just jump right in.
They do.
Versus like this was more of a slower progression into what she was trying to get across.
Don't we start at the isn't the onset basically about her attempted suicide?
I think so.
The
Yeah,
characters,
it's very
yeah.
trauma based too.
Yeah.
The whole book revolves around this main character's trauma, her suicidal thoughts, her issues, and how she's coping with them. This is a way for her to cope. This is a way for her to escape. And, you know, what ends up being like what she thought was just going to be, you know, a place to sleep ends up being her future.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Her time being this sort of, with the family being this sort of redemption where she connects with these girls and the little girls, and, you know, she basically almost risked her life for them. Yeah.
So I remember you speaking to me about this book.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but there's a couple of undeveloped plot issues.
Yes.
So maybe we can talk about that.
Okay.
Because I didn't see it because I'm so like in La La Land with Cooke and Cooke's rating. But you're absolutely right. You mentioned what happened to, I don't remember her name, that girl's sister.
Yes.
She was building up this connection that
Just throw it right out.
Just throw it right out. Let's talk about Maren first. So the issues that we had with this book are some of the plot holes.
Yeah.
So the first one being Maren's sister.
Mm-hmm.
That we like. Cooke spends a little bit of time developing backstory to Maren's sister and how this could be applicable to solve the current mystery of what's going on.
Yeah.
But then never mentions it again.
Right.
Just drops it.
Right.
Leaves us in La La Land.
Oh, Maren's sister was so striking because she looks exactly like...
Right. Ariella or whatever her name is. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right. Ariel?
The deceased wife.
Yeah.
Mother of the house.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name.
So she develops this kind of... You're right. Because of that similarity in appearance, that connection, you think that there could be something
there's
to
more
it.
There. Yeah.
And
absolutely
nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like, why even mention it?
Yeah. Yeah, and we don't really hear more from Maren either.
No, we don't.
So, and I think this is indicative of how, like, speedy the end became.
Yeah.
She really rushed. And I talk about the fact that the monster...
Go ahead.
Appears out of nowhere. So, right at the end when the monster appears, and the monster is this... I guess this physical embodiment of nature. That's the only way I can really describe it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But again, we like, I feel like there was so much there that needed exploration that we didn't really get. So when she appears, I'm like, this has been a hovering a character that looms and hovers, sort of. Doesn't really physically enact any sort of harm or violence, but perhaps psychologically.
Yeah.
But then out of nowhere it becomes really scary and like in your face, and I thought that didn't make sense.
Almost like underdeveloped then to like overdeveloped.
Yeah.
Like there was a big transition between like not developed enough.
Yeah.
And then we just went to like, whoa.
Yeah. Too much. There
was no progression.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that could have been, just a little bit. We could have been given an additional 50 to 100 pages more.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I don't want to talk about haunting, but I was kind of worried right at the end. And I'm like, oh no, is she doing this to me again? Where she's, started, she's just revealed the significant, plot line, and the rest is going to be rushed because I think I had 20 minutes on the, on Audible. But no, it's handled. Sorry, this is not about haunting, but it was handled well. This one, I definitely, because I think you had messaged me, and you were like, it feels kind of rushed.
Yeah.
I was like, it doesn't feel rushed until I got to the end. I'm like, you're right, it's rushed.
Yep. Yeah, it was very rushed. Like, it was kind of just like, okay, we're here already. We're wrapping things up. Like, I don't really understand. You know what it is? It felt incomplete.
Yeah.
The whole story, the whole book felt incomplete. I still really did enjoy the book.
Right.
I enjoyed her writing. I enjoyed the story overall.
Right.
But I did feel like it was incomplete. It was missing some pieces.
Yeah.
It was almost like, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying with like her transition from what she was previously writing to where she's kind of finding her niche now, and where she might be more comfortable. Is that transition piece from like thriller to gothic and not having the experience enough to fully complete the narrative pieces, or like like, I'm not quite sure what I'm trying to get at. I don't know if you know what I mean, but like, she's not fully developed as a writer to complete those tasks and to complete that storyline. And she just kind of looped it all up, or maybe she just like added the Marin piece and like didn't fully think it out. If she hadn't put that, or like the fact that that Marin's sister looked like Aurelia, the dead wife.
Yeah. You remembered her name just now.
I don't know if that's actually how you say
You're
her
right.
name,
You're right. Aurelia. I listened to it.
Okay.
It was.
I don't know if she hadn't put that lookalike piece, if it would have made that significant of a deal.
You know what I'm hearing from you?
What?
And I agree entirely. She started too many threads.
Yeah, that's fair. She didn't tie them up.
Yeah.
Like I like.
But it was an ambitious project.
Yeah.
It felt incomplete.
Yeah. What I said
Yeah.
before. Yeah, it felt incomplete. But it's funny because we're saying this, and like I mean, I don't know about you, I still really did like the book.
I did. I enjoyed it.
I did
enjoy it.
I thought it was really, really good. Very unique.
Yeah.
You know what though? There was that kind of I don't want to say it's not over the top. There was that spiritual element that I don't even know, like, yeah, it's kind of gothic, but at the same time, it was more so like extraterrestrial.
Yeah, well,
that I was just like, you kind of had to take it with a grain of salt. Like, I didn't find that the execution of this spiritual, ghostly deer, which is what it was, she slash morphed into this. I don't know what it was. I didn't fully believe in it. I didn't fully believe in the concept. I took it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Versus like The Haunting and even the Ghostwoods that I'm reading now. Like the Ghostwoods is creepy. And I believe it. You know, like this is kind of just like, all right, you know, like I don't fully believe in it. Even The Haunting, I was like, okay, I can buy into ghosts and haunting of a ship.
Yeah.
I don't have to, I'm not critical of it, even though like this, I felt very like it was like almost like this would never happen. This is very implausible.
This is where my brain is going right now. Okay, hang on. It's not about the implausibility of it, but I'm now thinking, like, the more you were talking, just the fact that she animated nature.
Yeah.
This was what it was. What you're calling, like, a spiritual thing is she animated nature. And the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, does Cooke have a political project with every single book that she's writing? Because it's now feeling like it. We had the feminist retelling with the witches. I love talking about books for this reason. Then The Haunting in the Arctic was the vigilante, you know, part, like there was a nature element to it too, right? The sea, the animating the sea, but also this woman, and the only way that she could find redemption is through vengeance. So that vigilante sort of justice thing. And then for this one, it's nature seeking justice in these really violent and almost cruel ways. I think underlining what we're getting from her writing is that there's an essence and a being and sort of life to everything. And she puts it to words, right?
Okay.
I don't think, I haven't read the Ghostwoods, but the witches, right? I think it's about like when we commit harm onto things, onto something, what are the effects of that harm?
Okay.
And I think that that's
This is what she's trying to do with the Mother Nature
I,
piece.
well, I'm just thinking broadly. I'm thinking like connecting the pieces that we've read so far, right? The 3 books that we've read.
Yeah.
What is the like unifying piece? Which is like, you know, these are elements and people who have been harmed in like really grievous ways, and like what are the effects of the harm that has been done onto them? It's that nature has been harmed, right? Do you remember that piece?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
That's the whole book. That's what it's about. It's about Mother Nature reclaiming her space and retaliating and seeking vengeance.
Exactly.
On those who've done her harm. Is about vengeance.
Exactly.
The trauma that Mother Nature has endured.
I think it's like that because Mother Nature was showing up not through the reason why the ending was so jarring was because that like demon sort of Mother Nature monster shows up in such a striking way when she had just been hovering the whole entire time. But the majority of the nature elements, like you've mentioned, are the deers, the animals, and how they respond to the various changes in the environment. I'm thinking of the folktale in the book, in the kids' book.
Okay.
And I think it was when the farmer either sold his daughter. There were several different versions of it, and it's hard for me to remember now because it's been so long since we read this book. But I think one of the versions was the farmer actually sold his daughter.
I don't remember.
Okay. And then the daughter realizes the farmer tries to let her know that just say the name, just say the creature's name.
Yeah.
You remember that, right?
Yeah.
But there were actually different variations of that story, but ultimately it was that somebody had to pay a debt.
Okay.
I keep calling him a farmer. I don't know if he was a farmer. We'll say he's a farmer. Had to pay a debt.
Right.
He had borrowed something and need to pay it back. And the way to do that was through the daughter. So either that she would be violently taken or he would willingly give her. Those were the variations. Anyway, I'm thinking about this. And I'm just wondering, like, if that's exactly what, how we're supposed to read the violence from nature. I don't know how to better say that, but like, do you know what I'm going at?
Like, I think what you're trying to say, and maybe what Cooke's trying to get at, is that we just take and take and take from Mother Nature, like we take from a lot of our relationships.
Yes.
With no penalty.
Mm-hmm.
And like in this story, Mother Nature was like, I've had enough. That's it. And I'm reclaiming what you've taken from me. I'm reclaiming, everything. And came back with this like full force, full vengeance to claim everything. I was kind of really upset that Varelia just drops off the face of the earth. Like literally drops off the cliff.
She basically
and dies
has a vision.
And gets sucked in.
Yeah.
By Mother Nature.
Right.
By this monster. She drowns.
Right.
But what, like, why? Why is she, like, it's not her. It's her husband that's doing all the damage. Why is she sacrificed?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Why is she sacrificed? Because, she didn't commit suicide.
No.
Aurelia is, like, lured in by Mother Nature. Right? She's, like, constantly being tormented and lured in to like come to me, and then she finally does, and then is drowned and like sucked in. Like, I just don't understand why. I get that Mother Nature is taking back what's been taken from her because Aurelia's husband, which I think his name is Tom, because Tom is like, agrees, being completely ridiculous with his architectural plans and his visions and like rerouting the river. Like, who the heck do you think you are?
But it was Aurelia that suggested that. He did it because she suggested it. Yeah. 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 So maybe is that why she was? I don't know.
I don't know, but
Like, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. That's what I mean. Like, the whole point of this whole conversation is that it doesn't quite line up.
Yeah. Like, why was Tom's place stored or at risk or more vulnerable to the magic, for lack of a better word, than say Tom and his partner?
I don't know.
You know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's.
And what happens with the corpse?
I don't know.
They just find a corpse and they rebury it, and that's it. Like, they've done this, they rebury it, and that really important find, just falls off.
Yeah, because she mentions the importance of the Scandinavian traditions, and what that goes against it, but then doesn't really do anything about it. You're right. This book is full of like loose ends, links that were never developed, connections that just I agree.
I think it's also important to recognize the good things that she does, and she does really well across the board.
I love her writing.
Yeah, and it's just like taking these really interesting storylines and folktales and really turning them into something that's
bigger than what they are. Like, there really is an underlying like socio and sometimes political issues, and making them into this complex, like, interwoven web of intricate narratives.
Yeah, and just, these supernatural elements and turning them to comment on very important history and social realities. So I think I really like that about her stories. It would be interesting to find out if this was, like a period of rupture in her career where she's deviating from more,
I'd
character
love for her
driven
to listen and let us know.
Writing to plot. Either way, I'm sure, as you have like spoken exceptionally, like, really wonderful things about her writing, I cannot wait to read the character driven stuff. What was that book again?
I Know My Name.
Oh my god, I have to read it.
Please. All right, I'll finish here. What do you think?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.